Okay. When this session was first planned, my name's Peter Kamaviz. I'm the Vice President for National Affiliates. When this session was first planned and I was told it's going to be at 1:30, I thought ideally we'd start with a nap because we're right after lunch. Yeah. So in looking at the space in the room, I don't think everybody's going to be comfortable. But I think if half of us go to the walls, then the other half can be comfortable, right? Okay, well, actually, although a nap might be productive, we're going to do something different. This session is on sustainability. And that means coming up with ideas to grow Gen in the country, to have the resources we need to grow Gen in your country. We're going to look at things like revenue generating, having a clear value idea in mind, things like telling a compelling story to people that potentially would give us money, either for fees or grants or contracts. We're going to look at the one thing that your organization does that nobody else can compete with. Things like that. I'm going to be turning it over to Natalie. Natalie Diamond is she founded her own firm now. So she's the CEO and founder of Diamond Strategy Collective. She's a brilliant strategist, so we're very lucky to have her. We only have her for today, so we won't have her on Thursday when some of us will be getting back together Thursday morning. She was the vice president for development at Hello Alice, and that's how I got to know her. She put together a really important initiative during the pandemic where she partnered with corporations to make donations that were then passed through to entrepreneurs and founders through Gen. So it was she went out and sourced like PayPal and NASDAQ and Wells Fargo and other big brand name corporations to give large sums of money that was then distributed to startups that Hello Alice, using its assessment tools, identified as being in need and also being deserving. So that's her background, and like I said, we're really lucky to have her. She's really good at making the connections between people first, strategy, and execution. And I think that's what's kind of vital for what we're going to work on together. 2 notes: anything said in the microphone is recorded, and there's going to be kind of a readout. At the tables, though, we're not recording unless you're doing it on your phones. We're not recording those comments. So you're free to talk about whatever you want to talk about at the tables, but when you're reporting out in the microphone, it is recorded. Another thing I want to bring up is that for a lot of us in the room, English is not the first language or even the second language, but we do this in English regardless of location. It just happens to be here in the United States this time. But we do it in English because that's the language that most people will be able to access around the world. And these readouts are for ourselves, but they're also for people who couldn't be here, couldn't make the trip, couldn't participate in this workshop, but have an interest in it afterward. So the other 2 people I'd like to introduce is Celia Wessinger, my former colleague. She's a great facilitator, and Alejandro Molina is our she's the officer that handles all the Hello Alice stuff and has been instrumental in helping Gen Global to build its development profile. So she'll be here just working, helping all of us workshop. And the last thing I'll say is that it is a workshop, so instead of taking a nap, we're going to try to use all of our collective brain power. I mean, there's some really, really smart people in the room. And of course, you know who you are, right? But when you add up the collective IQ, it's 10,000 plus, 12,000 plus. So we want to workshop it. It's not about you all listening to me. I'm getting tired already of my own voice. And so I'll hand it over to Natalie to facilitate the rest of the workshop. Thank you all, and off we go.
Great. Thanks, Peter. Hi, everyone. Thank you for the kind introduction. Nice words. I'm Natalie, and I am excited to take us all on a journey for the next, I think we've got about an hour, so we're going to make this work. We're really going to focus on how we all as Gen partners, as ambassadors, can build more sustainable methods to create revenue streams, how we can fundraise, how we can really look at partnerships as a strategic lever for sustainable growth in the future. So what my goal for all of you to get out of this session is to reflect on value, reflect on challenges, to share what's working and learn from others. And you'll notice that we kind of self-selected a little who sits where, so hopefully you're making new friends already. And most importantly, leave with at least one new connection. If you leave this room and you have a new friend, someone in your network that you can call on, I think that is a success already. So with that, I know we're after lunch. If everybody can stand up, we're going to do a quick exercise, get everybody moving. Hopefully everyone had a chance to give quick intros to one another. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go around your tables. If everyone can share your name, your organization, and your superpower. And superpowers are one word. So I'll go first. I'm Natalie. I'm the CEO and founder of Diamond Strategy Collective, and my superpower is maximizing. So we'll keep this brief. Everybody has about 10, 15 seconds each. We'll go around the tables. So we'll come back together in a few minutes.
One more spot at the table over there. I can show you. Yeah, one spot over here. I can show them. Is it all three you were trying to get in, or? Okay, these two. Well, I can show you the spot. Yeah, yeah. You can follow me. Is it just one spot, or is there two spots? Okay, this is your spot. Yeah. One spot here. You can. There's one spot right over here at this table.
Okay, hopefully we're wrapping up. From what I was observing and overhearing, it sounded like there were a lot of similar superpowers in this room, which is pretty awesome. A lot of complementary superpowers in this room. Great. Okay, so now that you've shared your organization and your superpower out loud, let's go a little bit deeper. So every table has some Post-it notes. What I'm going to ask each of you to do is answer 2 prompts on a Post-it note, 1 on each Post-it note, so everyone needs 2. After you're done, just stick them in the center of the table. And then we're going to look at each table and overlap and see, the synergies. And again, think about these new connections that you're making right now and how synergistic all of our organizations can be and the power we have in the collective. So the first prompt, what does your organization do better than anyone else? What does your organization do better than anyone else? Okay, prompt number 2. If you had a magic wand, what's one thing you'd improve about your sustainability or fundraising? If you have a magic wand, what's one thing you would improve about your sustainability or fundraising? Does anyone need repeats? Are we good? Okay, we're going to take 2 to 3 minutes. Everyone's Post-its go into the center. And as a group, if you can look at the overlaps, try and connect themes that you're seeing. And then we'll do some table readouts. All right, we're going to do 2 more minutes, and then we're going to read out. Okay, let's wrap that thought. Or what we can do. It's okay. Okay. All right, I know many of you are still getting through this, but hopefully there were some common themes, some synergies, some shared values that you found with some of your new fast friends. Do we have anyone that wants to share out something that you found in terms of a commonality? Please. Can you say that again?
Our table in particular, Yellow Squad, we love to help people, evidently, from early stage entrepreneurs to teenagers to women. We do it all.
Love that. Love that. Team Yellow, helping people. All right, I saw a hand. My good friend Classy.
So we had a couple of themes that surfaced. One is around really collaboration, right? That looking at how we connect the resources in our ecosystems, and that's amongst cities, towns, villages. We have making connections between or across our members. Let's see. Another one that stood out, and we put it in the pile of collaboration, but supporting regions in whether it's a city, whether it's a town, but really regions affected by economic shocks. But again, how do we collaborate with resources on the ground to be impactful in those communities was a big one. And then another one that surfaced was around our programming. So having impactful programming, producing programming and events with limited resources. We do that pretty well. And also what came up was being having a holistic view, right? And being comprehensive in our approaches to, again, impactful programming. And then another one that came up was Mr. Jackson here is wonderful at impact reporting. So those are some of the key themes that kind of surfaced for this table. We're the green team. Green team.
And thank you, green team. All right, can we get one more over here? Thank you.
We're the other green team.
Okay.
So ours kind of came together in 3 piles. One of them had to do with finances and the impact of the lack of, or how do you define that, having to do with investment and financing. Collaboration was another one. A lot of them came together. And then we had a small pile on messaging and executing that message and getting it out of there. So we basically hit those 3 areas.
Great, thank you. Okay. Pink table up front.
Hot Pink Panthers. Woo!
And they've branded themselves. I love it.
So number one is networking, training, and building capacity along with collaboration. And number two, outreach, new markets, and enhancing funding.
All right, that was good. Good answer. Good answer.
Excellent. Okay, great. Fantastic. Well, lots of common themes there. Hopefully that got us all thinking about, again, who we're sitting with, who we're networking with, and how collectively the strength in this room is huge. And so I think that's all of our superpower, is our collective strength there. And that's what Jen's here to do, right, is connect, convene, and get all of these discussions going, and how can we support you, and how can you support each other, because that's what it's all about. So we're going to move into the next area, which is going to really be about storytelling. And for everybody, I think I'm worried about time. Okay. So we're going to put our collective brain power to work. At each table, we're going to select one organization. We're going to try and go through this a couple times, so several will get to go. One organization to spotlight, so someone to volunteer. This has really helped to identify some blind spots for our new fast friends and learn from successes and strategies from your peers. So again, workshopping together what's working, where we can help identify some gaps. And we're going to use the worksheets that are on your table that have some messaging prompts there. But it's really about 3 core pillars of sustainable fundraising. So we're calling those the 3 C's. Everybody likes a, monogram. Clarity. So what's your value as an organization? Consistency. What are your systems? How is this sustainable? How is this repeatable? And then what's your case for support? And I know, some of the groups were already talking about impact measurement and metrics. All of these are really the key ingredients when you are telling your story, when you are talking about your organization, whether that's to just a potential investor, whether that's a potential corporate sponsor, whether that's just someone else that you meet, whether that's a new community member. So really being able to crystallize this for you. So again, if we can spend 10 minutes, and then we're going to rotate around. We're going to take one organization. Somebody can volunteer as a note taker. And just there's some prompts there that hopefully can get you thinking about those 3 C's. So we'll come back together in a few minutes. And if you're stuck, raise your hand. And yeah, we'll be circling around. Thanks. as we're wrapping, just start to think about what one action this organization could take to improve their fundraising sustainability, and then we'll share that out. So we're going to go into a recommendation for this org. Okay, we're going to wrap so we can get to some more organizations. And I'd love to hear from some of the tables that didn't get a chance to share on the last exercise. These Pink Panthers are proud. Love it. Okay, everyone, let's come back together. Thank you all for the collaboration. I love just walking around and hearing some of the suggestions and just hearing everybody's stories. I'd love to hear from this table in the back. Yes, yes. So, thinking about the 3C framework, what was something that stood out, and what's an action item that was identified? Was there a gap for that organization?
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jamila Lodge, and we used my organization, Bermuda Economic Development Corporation, as a case study. We are a quasi-government organization which is funded by the government, and we support small and medium enterprise businesses at all stages of their life. So we do financing, education, incubation, acceleration, loan guarantees, all of that. And so one of the challenges, I think, is because we do all the things, can we do all the things great? And so I got a lot of helpful advice and guidance. One of the things that was suggested that we utilize the data and create a story to help those who fund our organization to be generous, I guess, with regards to funding. So one of the main challenges that because we are government funded, the government grant goes up and down, which impacts our ability to deliver on our programming. So how can we ensure that that doesn't happen? One is by using the data to tell the story so that people will continue to fund us. The other thing is to look at creating a nonprofit arm so we have access to funding outside of the government. So we can get those private funding who require a charitable number or something like that. Also leveraging our college, our Bermuda College. We have a 2-year college for those data, we said data geeks, right? Those people who love data to help us to identify what data we're missing, what data we need to be able to tell that story. And then linking it to GIS mapping to support the storytelling. And also answer the question, what do we dream of? What do we wish for our organization? And be able to tell that story and to be able to link the story to also solving potential partners' problems as well.
Love it. Thank you. Data. I mean, we could have a whole other session, a whole day filled with data. Can anyone else relate how important, how crucial data is, gaps in your data, how you use data in your storytelling, your impact reports, and your case studies? So critical. Can we get one more share out from someone that hadn't gone last time? Over here. They're chomping at the bit up here. Okay. I think they have a microphone back there.
Oh. So we basically shared a little bit of how we do cross-border innovation exchanges, and collectively at the table, one of the suggestions that we're going to integrate now is thinking about other organizations and how do we kind of overlap frameworks so that we're not necessarily lifting or doing new initiatives where other organizations have already done it. So a little bit more collaborative versus what we've been doing before. But thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, we've got time for at least one more org, hopefully two. Can we go back to our tables and another organization volunteer? We'll workshop, same similar type of process, 3 C's. We'll put 10 minutes back on the clock. Okay, we're going to wrap and do a couple more share outs and then close up with your homework.
Okay. Okay. As they get to share. Thank you.
Okay, great. Who is our first volunteer to share for the group? And it can also be someone other than the organization. It could be someone else from the table that's sharing what they heard and what they learned. Bonus points for that. So, okay.
Hello, my name is Juscelina. I'm from Mozambique. We'll not get the bonus point because I'm from the organization. I am the Gen ambassador for Mozambique. We are the orange team. And what we've been discussing is how can we turn Gen in Mozambique into an actual incorporated organization. And one of the challenges that we have is with fundraising. And some of the questions were around what is unique about Gen Mozambique in this case, and we were discussing on how it is the main or the most unique organization that can be able to connect all ecosystem players in the country internally, but also with other ecosystem players around the world. But the second question then was, how then can we fund this, and how can we show to these ecosystem players that there is indeed a relevance in the Gen Mozambique? And we thought about charging a membership fee, but then they would ask, why are we paying this membership fee? And we thought that we could sell to them the idea that we can not just connect them among themselves, but become one unique organization that can deal with all government and different donor organizations and trying to connect them with opportunities within the ecosystem, but also becoming a platform where they can access services and resources, and also that can showcase what they've been doing within the ecosystem. One of the ways we could showcase, one is using a newsletter, but second, I was talking about the Gen country website that could be leveraged as a point to disclose or promote the activities of the different ecosystem players that are members of Gen. And also, it is important within that to clarify what is the exact activities that Gen Mozambique will implement and how much will that cost. That is in terms of becoming more clear on what we need, and also with that building up a case that can be then used to compel or convince more investors. Thank you.
I love that. Okay, so what I heard was we're introducing a new revenue stream, a new sustainable revenue stream for Gen Mozambique that is going to help them sustain their financing and bring value to their community. Certainly something that I'd want to pay for. So I love that. Okay, who else? All right, there we go in the back.
Hello everyone. So we are the other orange team, and the organization we're dealing with was Gen Namibia, just as the other table. So one thing or the value this particular organization is trying to bring to the Namibian ecosystem is network building. And in our deliberations, we picked up a couple of challenges or gaps, which has to do with funding, sourcing funding, making funding sustainable, because looking at the value we are providing and at the stage of the organization, it's a bit of a struggle to get corporate organizations to invest in this, because they also want to see what it does for them, and unfortunately we do not get government funding. So I've gotten a number of suggestions or possible solutions which we can implement. One of it is targeting, just before I go, that I'll need to mention, in the past Gen Namibia has also run another initiative during the Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is the induction into the Namibian Business Hall of Fame. So we have had a couple of successful entrepreneurs inducted. So one solution will be to build long-term relationships with these entrepreneurs, supporting them, hoping in the long run we can reach out for some sort of funding. And secondly, I was introduced to two different initiatives or programs which I'm certainly going to get more information on, which is the LIST and the Verizon digital program for entrepreneurs, which I can also access for entrepreneurs in Namibia. And thirdly, I was advised on, we also have the issue of data, which becomes very instrumental in terms of seeking funding, in terms of telling our story or the impact we have created. And one of the suggestions here is to create an open data source infrastructure to make the data gathering initiative faster and more sustainable and helpful to the entire ecosystem in Namibia.
Okay, so there were a lot of points that were covered there. Thank you. So data is coming up again, the importance. I think data also, when you're talking about the power of bringing corporates in, how can they demonstrate the impact that they're having? And that all loops back through to that data conversation as well. And then just that connectivity overall in terms of the ecosystem there. Thank you so much. Okay, we have time for one more share out. Who has not gone? What table? Has this one gone over here? Uh-huh. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so long story short, we did a case study of my organization. It is a membership organization for municipalities, so we represent cities, towns, and villages across the United States. We have a bunch of different focus areas, basically any issue that a city is going to be dealing with, housing, infrastructure, public safety. We focus on entrepreneurship and economic development. We have fee-for-service based models, so cities will pay for membership. We have an NLC university where we can educate city leaders, et cetera, et cetera. But the main draw is kind of that technical assistance into all of these areas where they're struggling. So small business support, entrepreneur support, et cetera. Being that there are so many broad issues that cities deal with on a day-to-day basis, there's a lot of siloization. So when we go after funding opportunities, multiple people within the organization might be having multiple conversations with the same funders. So we need to be able to streamline that better. We do have an internal CRM system, but it's not consistently utilized, and it's also a little out of date. So making sure that we are staying on top of data entry and data authenticity, making sure it's the most up-to-date and correct information. Also cross-collaboration. Entrepreneurship touches so many different aspects of what cities are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. If your streets aren't deemed safe, people aren't going to be walking around your neighborhoods. They're not going to be stopping into storefronts. So that's an issue that we also have to deal with. If there's no public transit, if there's no ways for people to park their cars or stop in, that's also going to impact revenue and the money that mom and pop shops bring in. So all of those cross-collaboration opportunities is a way for us to be more thoughtful about ways of teaming up internally and going after these funding opportunities. And the last thing I will say is, in America, the political landscape changes so frequently, especially at the local level. If a new administration changes, that can kind of derail projects that are usually longer term in nature. So making sure that we have long-term or strategies for long-term sustainability, and working with more organizations that expand just outside city leadership, more ESOs, more other community-based organizations. That way, if there is a turnover in any type of leadership, that the momentum can sustain is one thing that is important for us as well.
Thank you. Yeah, strategic development plans are key, and I'm so glad you brought up CRM. That is something that is so critical. Just by a quick show of hands, how many of us have, I would say, like a clean CRM that you're using with your organizations? Action item. So data hygiene, keep that CRM updated because as she pointed out, you can hit roadblocks internally within your organization just by overlapping and coming in.
Natalie, can you tell the people whose language, whose first language is not English, what a CRM is?
It is your customer database. So that helps you manage who you are contacting. There's so many free versions of that kind of tool. So, definitely use one that works for your organization, but don't think cost is a barrier to that. Start today, start tomorrow, and the more that you can input in there, multiple people within the organization have access to that, and it really helps simplify and automate a lot of your outreach and connectivity. So one of my personal favorites is HubSpot, especially when you're just starting out. They have an amazing free platform as well, so definitely check that out. Okay, great. Well, we are almost ready to wrap. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Cecilia with some homework.
All right. You didn't know that there was going to be homework, right? Okay. It won't be hard. Can everybody this is their first time at GEC raise their hand? Okay. We've got a lot of newbies in the room. I have a lot of people who have been to several GECs. So I want you to look around and help these people get to navigate GEC. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity to meet people that you've never met before. And for the next couple of minutes, there's a couple of things that I want you to do at your tables, okay? So how many people, when we asked you what your superpower was, said that they were good connectors? You just mediocre connectors, the rest of you? Okay, all right. Well, now we got you. Okay, so for the next couple of minutes, I want you to tell your table mates how you can help. What can you do with your superpower? And what do you need? Okay? Because as much as you may try, you are not going to meet every single individual that's out there right now, or the people in this room. So you're going to meet some amazing people over the next couple of days. And you're going to remember that somebody you just spoke to for the last hour needs something that somebody else can offer. So I want you to be able to be that connector for that person, right? So this is group networking at its best. So find out what you can offer, what you need, and share it with each other. So we're going to give you like 5 minutes or less, depending. When you stop talking, we'll come back together. But just share with each other. This is what I'm looking for. This is the kind of person I want to meet. I'm looking for a connection in this. I would love to have this, right? And also, what can you offer? Like, what are you good at? So that when they meet that person, that's like, oh, I was looking for somebody in economic development. I was looking for somebody who knows something about government relations, policy work, ag, all that stuff, that you will be able to remember who to connect them with. So, all right, go ahead and go. Look at this table finding each other in the app. Look at that. What a cool thing to do. Oh, I know. And here's a table that's passing out business cards. That's a good way to meet each other.
Over here, they were scanning badges, so.
And scanning badges, another good idea.
They're clean.
Okay. 2 more minutes to connect with each other. Okay. Do we need another minute? Who needs another minute? All right, all right. All right, everybody. We're going to start plenary in a couple of minutes, so I want to make sure that you get there on time, but also have time to grab something to drink, have a bio break before we get started. So how many people scanned each other's name tag? Or exchanged business cards or found each other in the app? That's good. All right. You got everybody. All right. So now you have a team working together so that you can find the thing that you need to do. So thank you very much for coming and joining us. You're welcome to stick around and talk to each other. I also encourage you to go towards the plenary so that you can hear our speakers. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you to Natalie for facilitating. Yay. Thank you to Peter and Alejandra and my other colleagues for being here to help support. And thank you to our wonderful Publicis Live team. Thank you for making sure it ran seamlessly. All right. Good. All right. We'll see you in a little bit. If you're wondering where to go, the plenary is just outside of the room. As you exit, go to your left. Okay? Get a good seat. Thank you all for coming. All right.